Nerd Radio.
I won nothing. I won absolutely nothing. There's no prize to win here. We're all losers. Welcome back. It's Nerd Radio on your podcast feed, courtesy of the B-Pod Studios Network, on your social media at NerdRadio101. James, before we get into talking about Peacemaker and Spider-Man, a little comic book news for you. So this week is the new issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
It's issue 125 of the IDW run. And when I was at the comic book store this morning, they don't have many copies anyways, but they were gone.
Really?
And it's because it is the first appearance in the IDW continuity of the Punk Rock Frogs.
You're kidding.
You remember them from like the original cartoon?
I feel like I do, yes.
Yeah.
The Toads. Didn't one have like a tropical shirt?
Yep. Yeah, there was like Genghis Frog and Attila the Frog and whatnot. I think in the cartoon, Shredder went down to like Louisiana.
If only the Campbell was mine. If only that was my Campbell.
That's the writer, Sophie Campbell. Yeah, but apparently that issue is kind of a big deal. So if you're a comic book reader and you're going to the comic book store today, you see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you may want to pick one up.
Grab the Punk Frogs.
Because people are speculating on it being, I don't know why. It's really weird. It's one thing when it's like a Batman issue or a Spider-Man issue or even one of my X-Men issues and people are like, oh, this is going to be a big deal. But like, it's me.
Looks like they have 3 different colors for this covers for this issue. Cover A,
do.
B, and
yeah. Kevin
Eastman
does the B covers for these still, which is always really cool.
I'll have to keep my eyes open if this is going to be worth some bucks.
All right. So, yeah, let's get into it. Peacemaker hits HBO Max last week.
Yeah, last week. 3 episodes.
3 episodes, which, as I said, was wild. We're going to get into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen it, you may want to forego the rest of the podcast. But if you have seen it and you want to hear people talk about it, you're in the right place. That cliffhanger at the end of episode 3, like I was saying earlier, like makes me feel like this series could go on forever.
Oh, yeah.
There's butterflies everywhere.
Yeah.
And I want to know who between John Cena and James Gunn decided that Peacemaker was going to be an 80s hair metal fanatic.
Oh, you know what? I bet you I feel like a lot of that is all James Gunn.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff is James Gunn and John Cena and him just have such a good connection. They vibe off each other and he can just work with whatever James Gunn hands him. I feel like James Gunn is the mastermind behind a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cena brings a lot of his own stuff to it, but I think the stuff he brings to it is more like, here's something that you could do like in a fight that would be humorous.
Or, hey, this joke is funny, but it'd be even funnier if like you could see my ass crack.
Yes, yeah, which you see plenty of in the and in just the first episode. You see the man pretty much, is he banging the chick in the first episode?
Yeah.
You pretty much see everything about John Cena except for his actual penis.
Yep.
So it's he is quite the specimen of a human, and it's funny. Dude, the man hugs a bald eagle.
Yeah.
Is it technically a bald eagle?
It
Legally,
is.
is it a bald eagle?
Yeah, it's a bald eagle.
But,
that bald eagle is a show stealer.
Oh,
it's fully CGI.
Yeah.
But that bald eagle is hilarious. And his dad, played by Robert Patrick, is amazing.
Robert Patrick, great portrayal. It's unfortunate some of the stuff is scary.
Oh, he's a terrible person. Everyone in the show, though, I would say almost everyone in the show is a terrible person, which is fascinating. But at the same time, I've been bringing this up when I talk to people at the comic store about it this morning. Every episode has like this moment of pathos, kind of like in the Guardians movie where there's a Rocket gives that speech in the middle of the movie where like, I didn't ask to be made like this. And you're like, oh yeah, Rocket's a dick, but like he's got pain. And like every episode has this thing where you're like, especially in the second one where Peacemaker's in his bed and just like crying, nobody likes me. And I'm like, oh man, like,
he's got some problems.
Yeah, poor guy, man.
Why he is the way that he is, and his upbringing from his dad. His dad's such a bad.
Awful.
His dad's essentially a leader of like a white power.
Yeah, a white supremacist.
Yeah, I don't know what faction.
Right,
but
just raised his kid to be a killer.
Yeah, so you can see why John Cena is so adamant at killing, but is he? But is he?
Yeah, and that's. I think so far my favorite scene is in the 3rd episode because Vigilante is funny. The Vigilante character,
which I didn't catch off at the beginning. I didn't realize that was the guy at the restaurant.
Oh yeah,
the busboy or whatever.
Right.
Like I was kind of like, I wonder if that's Vigilante because he gets out, he checks his voicemail, he's pissed his dad didn't turn his phone off.
Yep.
So he's paying the phone bill, but then he also has all these voicemails from this guy named Vigilante.
Yep.
And then he sees Vigilante, or the guy you don't know is Vigilante yet. He sees Cena's character in the restaurant, starts flexing. He's like, yeah, we're going to kick ass, like all this crazy stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, is that Vigilante? But then when you finally see Vigilante in his costume, you don't realize it's him until he's being tortured. I'm like, oh my God, it was the guy from the restaurant. So
no, I love the scene where Cena is supposed to take the shot with the sniper rifle, and there's like kids involved and stuff, and he can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Vigilante recognizes his best friend is having a problem, and he's going to be in trouble with his boss if he does the thing. And he just goes, "Hey, can you scoot over?" and does it for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from being the butt of a joke to being like,
this is the badass.
What a cool character! What a great friend!
Mm-hmm.
What a cool, but then he's also psychotic, just like Peacemaker.
Oh, they're all sick. Well, I mean, they tag team some poor guy's wife, which there's a moment that took me I don't know why, but it caught me off guard. There's a scene in one of the episodes where Peacemaker and Vigilante are laying in bed. I think John Cena's in his whitey tighties.
Yeah, and
then there's just a topless woman smoking a joint in between the two of them. And I'm like, they just tag teamed that guy's wife.
They did.
Oh, oh my gosh. I was like, holy cow. I don't know what it was about the scene. I don't know if it's just a topless woman smoking weed, and then John Cena also half naked. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. And it's funny because Vigilante is like, I would have shot you both in the face for this a couple of years ago before they legalized it, which accentuates. It's like, oh yeah, he's still he's wrong in the head.
Mm-hmm.
They're all pretty wrong in the head.
Yeah.
Funny goddamn series. Funny series. I'm not an 80s hair metal person, but man, that music choice is great. The intro.
Oh, the dancing intro.
Oh my God.
I want to learn the moves.
My one buddy, John at the comic store, says he never skips that intro. And we saw it the first time and it was really funny. And then when the second episode started, Amy's like, I don't need to sit through that intro again. I'm
really?
like, what? What? Come on.
I'm going to see those dance moves because I'm going to put them on TikTok.
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peacemaker is a good time, but let's get into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm excited. You got to go.
Dude,
and see
I'm impressed with what they did. But here's my thing. I don't know. I know Spider-Man is breaking all sorts of records and movies and blockbuster things, but I didn't feel like it was that great. I have a lot of cool stuff. My mind is blown with what they were able to pull together. You have, the three people who are known to play Spider-Man all in the same movie at one point. You have some of the villains from all those movies in the film at some point. That by far was impressive, but overall, I felt something was off to me with the story.
Yeah,
I felt like they were kind of forcing the story in order to go in the way it needed to go to get all these universes in order to kind of connect.
In order to actually give you three Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I'm also disappointed in the fact of what Tom Holland's Spider-Man character had to give up in order to come to a resolution in the movie.
Yeah.
So I feel sad about that. But overall, I thought it was good. You saw a lot of cool stuff, and I think they did a great job given what they had tasked, to do. Essentially, you saw Spider-Man take on the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
You're missing one of the Sinister Six, which was disposed of in the previous movie.
Right.
But to see Spider-Man, multiple Spider-Men going up against those big villains, it was very, very cool.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic time. I enjoy everyone pointing out that they did the Spider-Man pointing meme multiple times with the three of them. Andrew Garfield, the fact that everybody is in love with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man again is really charming.
I thought he was a killer Spider-Man. I was disappointed. No offense, Tom Holland. I was disappointed that they took the role away from him and gave it to somebody else.
And now everyone really wants, if Sony's going to make... If they're going to make Morbius and Venom and they're going to put a Spider-Man in there, it's well, let Marvel have the Tom Holland Spider-Man and keep going with Andrew.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, we've set up the multiverse, so this could be this universe's Spider-Man is now going up against, these guys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought overall it was good. I don't know why. I didn't walk out of the theater feeling the same way I felt when I walked out of Endgame.
Really?
The Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that same way when I walked out. Now, maybe it's because it was the middle of the afternoon and I felt really weird, I was in a ghost theater.
Right.
And I'm also I'm watching the time. I'm okay.
I will say it did add to it going on opening night, people cheering and gasping at different points in the movie when things happen, definitely adds to the oh my God, this is an experience. This is fun. Mm-hmm. It is fascinating too. I was just talking to Amy about this last night that every time Marvel releases a movie, Like, it doesn't even have to be an Avengers movie. Like, we're going to release an Avengers movie, and then we're going to release Captain Marvel, and then we're going to release Black Panther. And every time, they're just, like, shattering the last record before it. And I'm wondering, like, where's the top of this?
Yeah, like, where's it going to peak and start to drop down?
Yeah. So. And that's what we were talking earlier with everybody about, like, Shang-Chi and Eternals and stuff. It's going to be very fascinating over the next couple of years as they transition out of, like, okay, we've got all our A-tier Avengers characters done. Now what? Well, let's try Moon Knight. Well, let's try Shang-Chi. Let's try Luke Cage.
Yeah, it might just be going to throw stuff up against the wall, like characters that have a bit of a following.
Right.
Can we make the story interesting enough to where people are going to flock to the theaters to see it? Also, Willem Dafoe. Oh my God, that guy is such a talented actor.
Yeah.
Like it blew me away because he plays both personalities as the Green Goblin. He plays. Is it Osborn? He plays, the Osborn role, like a normal guy who's trying to help out Peter Parker.
Yep.
And then once he gets into that maniacal Green Goblin character and that, like, just that smile, like his, like,
yeah,
he's got like this evil smile.
That when he does the turn in the middle of the movie, you're like,
yeah,
you can tell just by the look on his face.
So.
He said in an interview too that one of the things that brought him back to the movie is he insisted to do all the stunt work himself. I don't know if I believe that.
Come on,
I don't know if I believe
there
that.
were some pretty big deal stunts. He put Spider-Man through about 8 floors of an apartment building.
That is a great, like, he gives him a friggin' wrestling spine buster through like 3 floors of apartment. I saw a tweet on, like, how they did that. Like, the floors are actually only about maybe this, like, 6 to 12 inches tall.
Okay.
But they're shot from a way that they look like a full floor that the guy's going through. And then they can just go bam, 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 and do a crash thing. Yeah, exactly. Cool. But yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it was
glad you got to see
enjoyable. Yeah, I'm glad I saw it too. I didn't want to wait till it's going to be available to stream or digital. I wanted to see it, in the theater. And, overall, it was good. Again, I feel I'm repeating myself. I'm not sure why it's doing that much, like, blockbuster ticket sales, but overall, it was good. It was a great way to unite everything to make the multiverse, and also Venom. So the one spoiler that I didn't catch on until later when I got home. So once they kind of fix things and Doctor Strange does a little magic to make the multiverse just kind of go back to how everything was.
Right.
They do a cut scene with Tom Hardy as Venom in some sort of tiki bar in Mexico, drinking, and then all of a sudden he disappears like everybody else did, and then you don't realize, like, oh, that universe is also a part of this universe too, but you just didn't see it until that point.
If you, when you get to see Venom 2, there is a post-credit scene that leads into that scene.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So
and
that was why he's in Mexico.
That was something both me and Amy were like, I can't believe, because we didn't see Venom for like a week or two, and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know people went and saw Venom. How cool is it that everyone saw that scene, knew what it was referencing, and went, well, I'm not going to spoil that. That's freaking cool.
That's cool. If that's the case, that's cool. I'm leaning more towards I don't think people made that connection.
Yeah.
Or the people that would be doing the spoiling.
I think a lot.
I don't think they made that connection. It was more like,
yeah. But he leaves a bit of the symbiote too.
Yes.
After he leaves.
Yes. I'm like, why was that there?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that? Are they going to set it up to where they do the Spider-Man thing where he gets the black suit again, the symbiote suit, and they start,
right?
And then Venom's going to have to come in. And, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
as it leads forward.
Exciting. So there's some hope for these next. Who knows?
I think Tom Holland is probably going to be the focal point that Robert Downey Jr. was for the first 10 years of.
Do you think it's
Marvel
still going to be
movies?
Played by Tom Holland too? Because I feel like Tom Holland's kind of over playing the Spider-Man.
Being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's going to be. I don't think we're going to see a bunch of Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland in them, but I think if they do like a new Avengers movie of some sort, then Tom Holland
Spider-Man
is
will be involved.
Going to be involved as
I can see that
as Spider-Man, or if they need somebody to show up in a post-credit sequence or something like that. Like we have Tom Holland as like the glue to keep this next wave of movies together.
I mean, hell, I guess if they wanted to, they could get one of the other Spider-Men.
It's true.
It's weird saying Spider-Man too. Is that the appropriate way?
I guess.
Like if you're talking about multiple Spider-Mans,
right?
How weird does that sound?
Yep.
All 3 of the Spider-Mans were there. It's hard to talk English when you have the multiverse around.
Until we get a CGI man's spider.
Yeah.
Then I'm in.
They're okay. That works for me.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Nerd Radio. James, thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Talking some spoiler stuff. We'll get together. We'll reconvene in a couple of weeks here. And until then, make sure you download the podcast. Hit us up on our social media at NerdRadio101. And, of course, hang out on the Twitch stream Wednesday afternoons at RobLifefieldFeet.com.
And also, real quick, I want to say thanks again to Dave and Chuck for popping in and stopping by for the recording today.
What a treat.
I mean, after all, we're nerds.
This Transformer is cool.
Have a great weekend.
See you later, nerds.
The future's stupid, guys. I'm sorry, but it is.
I have spoken.